All right, today we're breaking down an IPL match that, honestly, should have been a complete blowout. We're talking about Lucknow Supergiants versus Delhi Capitals, a game where one team was on the brink of total collapse, only to pull off a comeback that just shouldn't have been possible. Let's get right into it. And really, that's the big question here, isn't it? How do you salvage a match when it feels like it's over before you've even gotten started? Because for the Lucknow Supergiants, their innings began with an absolute nightmare, a batting collapse that should have taken them completely out of the game. So, who was the main person behind this early chaos for LSG? Well, that would be Delhi's bowler Khalil Ahmed. In those first few overs, he wasn't just taking wickets, he was setting a tone, making a big score for Lucknow look like an impossible dream. 7. Just look at that number. That's how many of Lucknow's key batsmen were already back in the dugout in only 13 overs. I mean, this wasn't just a slow start. It was a full-on implosion against some really, really sharp bowling. And here's a quick look at how it all went down. You had Khalil Ahmed and his swing bowling just dismantling the top order, getting both openers out super cheaply. And then, just when you thought it couldn't get worse for them, the master spinner Kuldeep Yadav comes on and just rips through the middle order, taking out the huge threats of Marcus Stoinis and Nicholas Puran. Khalil's opening spell was really the first domino to fall. It kicked off this massive collapse that left Lucknow's innings in total shambles, with Delhi looking like they were in complete control. And this right here shows you just how quickly everything came apart. After a tiny bit of stability, the wickets just started tumbling one after another. The captain, KL Rahul, fell. Then Stoinis and the super-explosive Puran both went in the same over to Kuldeep. By the time Krunal Pandya was out, LSG were just reeling. Think about that for a second. 94 runs for 7 wickets. With only the bowlers left to bat, getting to a score of even 120 looked like a huge stretch. For all intents and purposes, this match looked completely over. And, if you thought things couldn't get any worse for Lucknow, you'd be wrong, because we have to talk about the pitch they were playing on. The Ekana Stadium in Lucknow is notorious for being a bowler's dream, which made a comeback from 94 for 7 seem, well, truly impossible. Let's put this into perspective. The average first inning score at this stadium is about 159. When Lucknow collapsed, they were on pace for maybe 115. Everything, the pitch, the scoreboard pressure, the history of the ground, it was all screaming that a decent score was just not going to happen. So why is this pitch such a nightmare for batters? Well, the surface has this really unpredictable bounce, and the straight boundaries are enormous. We're talking 81 meters long. It's the kind of ground that just strangles run scoring, especially for a team that's already in deep, deep trouble. But just when it seemed like all hope was lost for Lucknow, right at that moment of crisis, 2 unexpected heroes came to the crease and put together one of the most incredible partnerships of the entire season. This whole rescue mission was led by the young Ayush Badoni. Now, he's not one of the big-name superstars, just a batsman trying to save his team from a really bad loss. And he found the perfect partner in the all-rounder Arshad Khan. And wow, what an impact they made. For the 8th wicket, Ayush Badoni and Arshad Khan put together an unbroken partnership worth a staggering 73 runs, and they did it in just 42 balls. They didn't just steady the ship, they gave their team a legitimate fighting chance. But the star of the show, it had to be Ayush Badoni. He finished with a spectacular 55 not out from only 35 balls. His innings had 5 fours and a 6. It was just this incredible display of calm, counter-attacking cricket that pulled the match back from the absolute brink. So how'd they do it? Their approach was basically a masterclass. They soaked up the initial pressure. They ran really hard between the wickets to build some momentum, and then, right at the end, they just unleashed a flurry of smart, calculated boundaries. They didn't just stop a disaster. They took LSG from a hopeless 94 for 7 all the way to a very competitive final score of 167. But here's the thing. Badoni's innings wasn't just great cricket. It's another perfect example of how incredibly valuable he is to the Lucknow franchise. For a young player, he delivered what you'd call a true jackpot performance. I mean, just look at these numbers. This is where the story gets really interesting from a front office perspective. Ayush Badoni was retained by LSG for his base price of just 20 lakh rupees. For that tiny investment, he delivered a performance under intense pressure that was worth so much more. To put it another way, the value he delivered in this single high-stakes innings was way more than his per-match cost. Now, Lucknow did end up losing the match, but they got a game-changing performance from a player on a bargain contract. In franchise sports, that is an absolute dream scenario. And that kind of leaves us with a really interesting question, right? In this age of massive contracts and superstar salaries, performances like Bajoni's are this powerful reminder that sometimes the smartest investment isn't actually the biggest one. It really makes you wonder, what's the secret sauce to building a winning team?